So this month I'm jumping back into providing some creative writing tips. While I've covered things from the hero's journey to world building and from character design to editing, there is one topic I have not covered, and that is theme. Now, personally, when I draft a story, I don't go into the writing process with anything other than, here's the plot and characters, let's get her done. I don't usually consider anything more than telling a well-crafted story meant to entertain. In fact, rarely do I ever consider the concept of theme in my stories, at least not until after the bulk of the writing is done and I'm going through the revision process. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't think themes are any less important. In fact, on the contrary, I believe they are incredibly important. They just don't happen to be my first thought when I jump into a writing project. So if you're not really sure what I'm talking about, here's a bit of a breakdown. A literary theme is the underlying message of or the central idea explored in a work of fiction. Many themes are often universal, focusing on broader truths accessible to just about anybody who reads it. These could be topics of good versus evil, love, friendship, and camaraderie, loss and grief, or victory and triumph in the face of adversity. These topics aren't just added to the story willy-nilly.
Nimly-bimly from tree to tree.
They're layered in and threaded throughout the story to communicate the author's perspective on the matter and raises questions for the reader to ponder before the story comes to an end, and maybe those questions continue to ruminate inside your noggin long after you've finished reading it completely. So the theme gets conveyed through plot details, character development, the setting, symbolism, foreshadowing, and dialogue. Let me share an example from two of my favorite franchises, Star Wars and Harry Potter. In both franchises, Luke Skywalker and Harry Potter are both orphaned at birth and go to live with an aunt and uncle far away from the special world that the rest of the story takes place in. If you want to know more about special worlds, check out my playlist on the hero's journey right up here. Both Luke and Harry are told crafted narratives about what happened to their parents. While Luke only gets information about his father and nothing of his mother, Harry gets an earful from his aunt and uncle about his parents, and both accounts deal with death. Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru tell Luke that his father was a pilot on a spice freighter, and the information is corrected and kind of twisted by Obi-Wan Kenobi when he says his pupil Darth Vader betrayed and murdered Anakin Skywalker.
So what I told you was true, from a certain point of view.
In the wizarding world, the Dursleys tell Harry that his parents were good-for-nothings who got themselves killed in a car crash.
A car crash?
Which Hagrid challenges, and Petunia adds,
she went and got herself blown up.
So neither of these is really the full scope of what happened to Anakin Skywalker or Lily and James Potter. But what's interesting is that up until the end of Empire Strikes Back and the middle of Half-Blood Prince, both of our heroes believe their dads were especially good people. Anakin was a Jedi. James died protecting his family from Voldemort. But the truth is that neither man was a pure soul. We here in the future know Anakin Skywalker fell to the dark side and became Darth Vader, and we learn through a briefly mind-read memory that James Potter used to be a complete D-bag who bullied a young Severus Snape. And both Luke and Harry have to wrestle with their respective revelations because while it's never explicitly stated, one of the themes in both of these franchises is legacy. And it asks the question, how do you live up to the example, good or bad, set by your parents? Most kids grow up idolizing their parents. Me, personally, I remember looking up to my father and wanting to be like him. And as I grew older, I came to realize that my dad was not this infallible guy. He had his hang-ups because ultimately he's an imperfect human being. I still think that my dad can beat up your dad, but that's a topic for a very different video. So here are 7 tips for adding a literary theme to your story. So, tip number 1, seek universal themes. No, I'm going to have to talk with my video editor. This is where you focus on the part of the plot that is recurring with regards to people of all ages, races, genders, and walks of life. Tip number 2. Choose a theme that sticks with your reader. Consider which ideas you want your readers to keep thinking about, even if they've forgotten the specific plot point of the book. Tip number 3. Develop your story premise first, then see what theme best applies. You could even begin writing the story, like I or some other authors do, before you ever really develop your theme. Tip 4, create an outline. Drafting an outline and including your theme in the outlining process can help you find a consistent placement for the thematic elements that you want to include. Tip 5, weave the theme throughout the narrative. This piggybacks off of tip 4 by making sure your main character encounters situations that highlight the theme as you fill in the details of each act. If you're balancing multiple storylines, see what you can do to expose your characters to the theme in ways unique to them. Tip 6, include multiple themes. Many stories aren't rooted in just one theme. You might know the central idea of your story, but you might discover a different theme through the writing process that resonates within the boundaries of the narrative. And finally, tip 7, don't limit yourself. Take care not to limit your thinking to the way themes have been expressed in the past, such as other novels and stories. While you might get some pushback about the limited number of themes, every story is different, and how you apply the theme is going to be unique to your story. So there you go. Follow these steps and you'll find a great way to incorporate themes into your story. Happy writing.